engine light on? Take the guesswork out of your check engine light with O'Reilly Veriscan. It's free and provides a report with solutions based on over 650 million vehicle scans verified by ASE certified master technicians. And if you need help, we can recommend a shop for you. Ask for O'Reilly Veriscan today.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
Tawala, the number one movie this week was Mickey 17, and I mentioned you because you went to see it, and also Mark Ronner reviewed it as part of the Ronner Report on Friday. Mark gave not a glowing review, but a very positive review of the Robert Pattinson movie.
Mixed to positive. And you sat there and witnessed Tawala's vicious attack on me when I got in today.
And that's why I'm starting right here. Tawala, you came in and took a sledgehammer to this movie, and I thought you were going to take that same sledgehammer to Mark Ronner. You were blaming him in part for somehow misleading you or tricking you out of your money.
I believe that Mark Ronner was nowhere near harsh enough on this film. I felt that he was being relatively fair to the film. And so I went in my daughter after watching, the Twilight movies. Now she's a Robert Pattinson fan. She wanted to go see this movie. I said, okay, cool. The trailer looks good. Mark Ronner's review of it was fair. Mark Ronner led me to believe that I was going to have at least an enjoyable time in the theater. And for the first 20 minutes, I did. And then it devolved into some type of weird religious, cultist, political, Trump-laden thing. I don't know. I was just like, what the hell?
What does Trump got to do with this?
Because there was this Mark Ruffalo played this Trump-like leader who talked with yes, it's going to be very, very big. It's good. And he had no clue of what he was doing. His wife was basically, Melania Musk.
Was it on the nose like that?
Oh, it was on the air. He even wore these veneers that kept his mouth in this kind of like Trump-like, that kind of expression he makes when he's saying something is very, very big. It's going to be big. It's going to be huge. He had talk like that. Well, and literally he had followers and fans that had red hats and were
really?
They literally were like dying to join this crusade that he was on. They had these red hats and like, I'm the biggest fan ever. I voted for you. And he's a failed politician.
Oh, okay.
And then it just got into this weird thing. And I'm like, what am I watching?
Mark, what say to you to that?
Well, I did mention in the review that the performances were so overly broad that it almost ruined the whole movie. Was that too subtle for you, T?
I may have missed that part. And even still, what you should have said is the performances were so trash that all you could see in this film is your eyes closing as you try to take a nap through all the snooze fest monologue speeches about what's right and what's wrong. And we're going to build a brand new society on this white planet. And we want pure people. Only the best people ever can be on this planet. It's like, wait, what? What are we doing right now?
The movie was only 2 hours and 17 minutes long. It's 2 hours and 17 minutes.
There's no such thing as only 2 hours and 17 minutes.
I can't
felt
get
every
that
moment
back.
Of it.
I can't get any of that back. My life was wasted. You should have said, Mark, if you want to waste precious moments of your life, you go watch this snarling deuce bag.
Wow. Deuce bag. Wow.
Deuce bag. Because you put it in a bag and you put it on someone's porch and you light it and they come out and stomp it. That's what this film is.
All right, well, that's a bold statement. But just for clarification, are you telling me you found nothing at all worthwhile about the movie?
The first 20 minutes when I thought it was going to be about cloning and...
It's not about cloning?
It starts off that way.
No, this is because I've not seen the movie. My impression of the trailer is it's about cloning and the unfortunate realization that the clone realizes that he's a clone, and somehow the clone does have some sort of humanity which should be saved.
They know they're clones. That's not a big secret.
Yeah, that's not a big secret. It's when the multiples come in, and that's in the trailer. So it's in the spoiler.
Yeah.
When the multiple comes in, it's like, oh no. And in the trailer, I thought it was going to be some big thing about getting rid of the multiples, and they were going to multiply, and then there was going to be a whole bunch of Mickeys fighting. No, none of that happened.
See, I thought this movie was going to be like the movie with Ewan McGregor, The Island.
No.
It's closer to that Moon picture with Sam Rockwell.
Yeah.
You never saw Moon?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I didn't see that one.
It's worth watching.
Okay.
Duncan Jones, David Bowie's son.
Yeah. It's poo-poo.
It brought in $43 million worldwide. Number one domestically with $19 million. It was there's another sideline issue to this, that it was another very soft week for movies. And you talk about how movie theaters are struggling to stay in business. They need movies that will carry the theaters through these winter months. That's why it's really important for the Disney and the big tentpole movies to do well, because not only would they stay in theaters longer, the hope is that people will see it multiple times or see it during the week. I don't know how many people are going to take a Tuesday off to go see Mickey, for example, Mickey 17.
No.
Even as a film enthusiast, I can't imagine ever sitting through that again. I mean, I'll give Bong Joon-ho, the one viewing, benefit of the doubt viewing. Tuala, I'm surprised you weren't more offended at Robert Pattinson's annoying vocal, whatever he adopted.
That thing, I don't know, like a whiny Jersey thing. I don't know what. And then when you had the Mickey 18, and then he was a tougher, more
a little more
jackass,
aggressive.
more aggressive, yeah. And he hated the week. And then it's like one of those like, wait, what? What are we doing? What are we doing? Why do you have him do? I'm the tough Mickey. I'm this new dude, snarly, weak kind of.
So it's like Seven Dwarfs?
It's like the Nutty Professor.
Yeah.
Does Robert Pattinson not have enough range to pull it off?
I just think they were going for something too cartoonish to work in a movie with Pattinson and with Ruffalo and Toni Collette as the first lady.
All right, I'll skip it. Thank you very much.
Yeah, you could skip it. I mean, unless you feel really compelled to watch this guy's work, skip it.
Captain America Brave New World came in second with $8.3 million. It is now up to $371 million worldwide. Don't know if it's going to hit $400 million, but it's not a critical failure financially. Last Breath brought in $4 million this week. Very soft.
What's that?
Doesn't matter. It's only $4 million in the second week. Total of $14 million. The Monkey came in at number 4 this week. Mark Ronner reported on that. It only has $45 million.
I think it made all of its money back.
Yeah, but it's not doing anything for movie theaters. Paddington in Peru, 4th week, $3.7 million this week for a gross of $175 million worldwide. Probably got its money back, but it's not doing gangbusters. But this is where movies come to die, honestly. There are not a lot of big movies which come out in the winter months.
What is Paddington doing in Peru? Has he?
I haven't seen any of the
Paddington is certain. No. Paddington is on the search for the first person that ever found him. I think gave him a hat and a jacket, and that person is.
That doesn't sound like a movie.
No, but he has to search for the first human, I guess, that was nice to him and like sent him on his way into the world to become a Paddington bear, a talking bear.
Oh,
and so he has to go to Peru to find the first, and then Antonio Banderas is the bad guy, so he's hunting for Paddington because Paddington, I guess, offended him, and he doesn't like talking bears or something weird.
Okay, I won't be seeing that. And of course, there's another Oscars Best Picture winner that basically no one has seen and no one cares about. Anora has a worldwide gross of $46 million now. It was number 7 this week. They got a bump.
Wait, that won a best of with only $43 million?
Look, no.
Big
4
disconnect.
weeks in? What is this, 4 weeks?
No, it's 21 weeks in.
Oh, my God.
And they added 1,100 theaters because of the Oscar buzz and win. It brought in $1.8 million this week after bumped up to a total of 1,900 theaters.
That's shameful.
Well, if they actually alter the title to Anoia, it'll be closer to truth in advertising. I think when normal people who aren't, film snobs see this, they're going to wonder what the big deal was.
I always wonder when they name movies something completely uninviting, uninspiring. I don't care where the movie title comes from. At least give me a reason to want to see it. Like, for example, I have no desire and will never have any desire to see the movie The Unbearable Lightness of Being. What the frick does that mean?
Oh, that's good. And the book is good as well.
You're wrong
You're
on both
insane.
accounts.
You've lost your mind.
But the whole point is, when you name movie stuff that is really bad, you're not ever going to get some people.
I'll tell you this. you'll like The Unbearable Lightness of Being because it's by the director of one of your favorite movies, Philip Kaufman, who did the Invasion of the Body Snatchers remake.
I'm still not going to watch it.
Just out of sheer stubbornness and petulance.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
I'm good with that.
Uh-huh.
I will die stubborn, petulant, insolent, indolent,
Petty.
ignorant, all that. Doesn't matter.
Are any of you watching Invincible?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm halfway through the last season.
Dropped it after the first season. Is it worth sticking with?
Yes,
Oh my
you're wrong.
God, yeah, you're wrong.
You're the wrong one here.
Yeah, I'm all the way. Okay, you got
to talk about that sometime. You're the person who's into violence, right?
Well, when you say it like that, it sounds
no.
like I need an intervention.
It is like John Wick cartoonish violence and some.
Okay.
It's developed very,
it's
very
animated, but it's only meant for partly psychopathic adults.
I felt like I got everything I needed out of it in one season.
The one season they didn't even build up Invincible enough for you to understand his character arc. You need to start. It really doesn't start till season 2. I can say that.
All right, a good cast too.
Oh, they have a great
Very
cast.
good cast. Very good cast.
J.K. Simmons is great.
Yeah.
KFI AM 640. We're live everywhere. The iHeartRadio app.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
And I've been around long enough to remember the Menendez brothers' actual trial. It was like 1989. I remember how that was such a big deal. Even though it preceded O.J. Simpson, it enthralled the city, not only because the violent nature of it, but it was very personal. You had two brothers who maimed and killed their parents. Father was shotgun blasted to the back of the head. Mother was shotgun blasted to the face. They tried to cover up the crime or make it look like a mob hit by shooting them in the knees. They tried to create an alibi of going to the movies. And this is just what I remember off the top of my head. So people were enthralled at the heinous aspect of this crime and how kids could do it, because they were teenagers, if I'm not mistaken at the time, could do it to their parents. Netflix has recently made a documentary about it, especially if you're under the age of 50, you probably don't remember too much of this. But it's been widely viewed, and I always wonder in this true crime era whether it inspires people to do certain things. And there's more evidence to suggest. We talk about music, we talk about video games, but we also have to talk about documentaries now. A 15-year-old was arrested after he allegedly stabbed his mother to death after being, quote unquote, inspired by the Menendez brothers documentary on Netflix. According to the criminal complaint, officers arrived at the teen's residence around 10:30 p.m. on March 4th after someone called 911 to report that they had been sent pictures on Snapchat that showed a woman unresponsive on the floor and pools of blood. The sender also reportedly told the caller that he had stabbed his mother to death and needed help. Police identified the teenager in the complaint. The document said that when officers arrived at the residence in question, the teenager walked outside and dropped a kitchen knife on the front porch. He reportedly asked the police to kill him and said, "She is dead. She is dead from what I did." Then the teenager allegedly made an excited utterance that he hit his mother over the head with a dumbbell so it would be easier to stab her. During later questioning, the teenager told police that he came home from school on the day of the killing and, quote, felt depression and an urge to kill his parents, and said that he was taking his brother's anxiety medication for about a month, and on that night he took approximately 9 pills, and that it does not help his anxiety, but it makes him high, and he enjoys that. Then a teenager reportedly said he initially searched the house for a hammer to kill his father with, but could not find one big enough. After he ate dinner, he turned on the Menendez brothers documentary on Netflix, which inspired him to develop a plan to kill his parents. He said it came to him while he watched the shotgun scene. Shotgun, obviously what I was talking about, how the Menendez brothers killed their parents. The teenager told police that he hid his sleeping medication after his mother went upstairs at around 9:50 p.m., then hid a knife and dumbbell in his shirt and told his mother he did not know where his medication was. She went downstairs to search for his medicine, and he hit her over the head twice with the dumbbell when her back was turned. It goes on and gets worse and worse. My question is, in the Menendez story, there allegedly, and to me it was just a fabrication. There allegedly was some sort of abuse by both the mother and father that the Menendez brothers alleged. That was at least their defense in court. According to this teenager didn't allege that there was any type of abuse from his parents. He just seemed like he felt like he wanted to kill his parents, and the Menendez documentary was an entry point. Now, I'm not going to blame the documentary. Obviously, if you're taking someone else's medication that you're not supposed to be taking, and you are already inclined to do this, the documentary probably had no real impact, no real influence. But I do think it's something that we should think about as far as the predisposition to violence. I mean, Mark, you and I, we can see something on TV or a documentary, and since I would like to believe that we're sane enough to be able to separate what is fantasy and what is reality.
Oh, yeah. Anytime you hear somebody try to blame real world violence on a video game, a movie, documentary, TV show, music, that's pretty much the last refuge of a liar.
Why do you think it's the last refuge?
Because it means that we have no free will and nothing matters. If you can't take responsibility for your own actions, then you've got to blame it on a piece of pop culture or entertainment.
I still wonder, though, whether we are contributing in some way to them going further down that road.
I think you have to look at all the people who see that stuff and don't do anything. They just process it like entertainment and turn the channel or whatever. It's extremely rare for anybody to do anything like that to begin with. And then to do something like that and then blame it on an entertainment thing, extraordinarily rare.
Yeah, I do remember a time in which I probably was not emotionally mature enough to deal with R-rated material. I do think I would be a different person today if I were exposed to certain media, violence, imagery, even pornography in the way that is so readily available today. It would have changed me if I were exposed at a very young age.
Sure, and that's where your parents come in. But also, nothing that you see as entertainment makes you do anything.
Agreed.
I mean, my mom took me to see Dawn of the Dead when I was, 13 years old. It made a hell of an impression on me, but I didn't go out and try to eat a living person.
No, and my father took me to see the original Gone in 60 Seconds where they're stealing cars. I never had a desire to go out and steal a car. But yes, there is a level of responsibility that parents have to make sure that there is a very firm foundation as far as right and wrong goes.
I've written a lot about the video game aspect, and people should know there is absolutely no correlation with video games in particular and real world violence. And I think it holds true across all entertainment.
Do you think that that person is a psychopath regardless, and the video game is a way to placate that psychopathy?
I think that you could blame anything as a trigger if you're unwilling to accept responsibility for your own actions.
Okay. All right. Then I expect you to start taking more responsibility for your shortcomings, please.
I take full responsibility for everything I say to you, Mo Kelly.
No, that's not a rim shot. Stephen, come on, man. He's not making a joke. Just because someone's laughing doesn't mean he's trying to be funny.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
Detective Melissa Mercado. She's an NYPD detective, and she's a part of the Special Victims Unit. Kind of like Olivia Benson on Law & Order SVU, except not like Olivia Benson on Law & Order SVU. She has come into prominence not for her day job, but what she's been doing in her personal life. She makes about $144,000 a year as a detective, grade 3, which is middle level from what I read. She's been on the force for 7 years, on the job, as they say. Here's the issue. She has come under scrutiny because there is a music video that she appears in, which has since gone viral. And all I can say is Google Detective Melissa Mercado. She will fill up your screen. Let me put it that way. There is a lot to view. And I mean that a good way.
Yep.
She is come under scrutiny because she performed in this very suggestive video pole dancing, and she is still an active detective with New York Police Department. And there's been a comparison which has been made by some people. We talked about, remember the flight attendant who did the twerking on the plane while on the job? Mm-hmm. She was fired, and we talked about how she felt she was being treated unfairly. She didn't mean any harm. She didn't think it was a big deal. She didn't think that her dancing was all that sexual. I said, well, twerking is twerking. You did it on the job. You did it at your place of employment. It's different. Here we have Melissa Mercado, who was doing something not necessarily representing the NYPD, but people know that she's with the NYPD. She wasn't wearing an NYPD uniform. Mm-hmm. That much is clear. Was not flashing her badge. There was nothing in what she was doing on her personal time which would connect her to the NYPD. The question is this the same or not? Well, it depends on the expectations of her department, her contract, and what she told her bosses. Maybe she told her bosses, hey, by the way, I'm going to be in this video. Are you okay with it? And if they said okay, then what have you? It varies from job to job. Some jobs, hey, everything you do, even on your personal time, if it reflects back badly on us, then you can be fired. Now, with law enforcement, and I'm only talking about this from the standpoint of what law enforcement officers have told me. There are sometimes strict parameters as far as what they can do in public. For example, they just can't talk to the press whenever they want. They'll get them fired, suspended in a heartbeat. Can't do it. Now, there's some who will talk to you off the record, on background, as they call it, but they can't say, yes, I'm Officer Jones at Rampart or, the 77th Division. No. You can't do that. They would have to get permission to do that, and they didn't, they'd probably be fired. Very strict on public representation of whatever the department they're with. This is an interesting conundrum. We don't know because Melissa Mercado is not speaking publicly, but I'm quite sure she had to have known she was going to be recognized in the video, because there are lots of things which stick out on her, hint, which make her very recognizable, or at least two things do.
Yes, but it's very clear the rap artist who she's performing alongside in the video, the director, no one on the set was aware of her affiliation with NYPD. She did not post this on her social media page. Hey, check me out in this video. This is something that she does part-time in her off time. And looking at least an overview of the rules, it says while officers are required to file an off-duty employment form if they perform for money, her actions could be considered personal, which would not fall under department oversight.
If she did it for free, you're saying?
If and she knows the rapper, she does know the individual that she was performing for. If this is what she does, and again, this is different from the airline twerker. She was not even in a fake officer uniform, like a scantily clad officer uniform. She was. You would actually have to know her and also know her on the force, because she doesn't show up to work like she did in that video. Now that the video came out, once the word spread, of course, her entire department is familiar, but still, I mean, it is a gray line, because I know now that the video is out there.
I'm watching the video right now.
The video's out there busting.
She's busted it wide open.
She's wide open.
Woo wee!
Hello,
it is.
Golly,
it's popping. But
she's hot.
And she is.
As I say, she bad,
and that's why she did
bad.
it. But I mean, I'm sure as us talking about it right now, I promise you, people are looking this up and they're saying, "Oh no, there's no way she should be a member of law enforcement." But there's a lot of officers who moonlight doing other things.
What light?
Just moon.
They moon. Light. The Lord. They moon.
I have to watch the video a couple more times just so I'm completely clear on what she did and did not do.
Yeah, be thorough. You want to be thorough. I think this is some excellent police outreach. I can't imagine why you'd have a problem with it.
I don't have a problem with it. Anything, it probably puts a better light on the department as a whole. Of all the, I'll say the, shut up, Mark. Of all the,
Certainly does that.
never mind. I retract. I yield back my time. Check out Detective Melissa Mercado, pole dancing. She is very talented. I'll give her that. She has been practicing. Yeah. She does not, when I see her in her uniform and when I see her in a thong, it looks like two different people. Two different people.
Yes.
Ooh.
Which one would you like to frisk you is the question.
You know, I don't know. That's tough. That's tough. I think in the uniform, it adds more mystery.
I don't know. I'm a black man. I'm afraid that she would like choke me out like Eric Garner or someone. I don't know.
May get you in a headlock.
That's what they're calling it now.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
Let me get serious because I do have a serious final thought for this evening. And early, you might have heard Mark Ronner discuss a story or previous story regarding Mayor Karen Bass and her text messages, which are not available for January 7th and January 8th, which happened to coincide with her time in Ghana and also the beginning of the fires here in Los Angeles and also Los Angeles County. So I wanted to focus in on that. And for my final thought, it's this. Let me just start with the obvious. Mayor Karen Bass will probably be reelected. Probably, most likely. And that's not an endorsement, not in the least. That's just a reflection of not having any real competition, at least not at this moment. But she surely has done herself no favors in the recent months. I really hate when politicians and elected officials try to insult my intelligence. Maybe you don't have any problem with that, but I sure as hell do. We can disagree on policy. We can disagree on strategy and messaging. We can disagree on the path forward as far as what's best for our city, county, or state. But we can't agree on you insulting me with wild, unbelievable stories which defy reasonable explanation. And I'm all about reasonable. After a public records request for Bass's text messages from January 7th and January 8th related to the fires by the LA Times, the Times said the city had no responsive records. No responsive records. A mayor's text messages from only a month ago are nowhere to be found. Bass was in Ghana when the Palisades and Eaton fires broke out on January 7th. I remember I was covering it. You might remember as well. I was spending from 7 p.m. to midnight here talking about it for multiple days. I remember it. And also, Bass spent much of that next day traveling back from Ghana, more than 7,500 miles to Los Angeles, and she said she was in communication with officials here. So I assume she was on the phone, she was texting, whatever. You know what she was doing beyond traveling? Coordinating, not just communicating. And if you communicate with anyone for any length of time, you know that texting is not only more efficient, but it's more easily accessible for the person on the other end as opposed to leaving a voicemail. I'm sure there were multiple people trying to get in touch with the mayor simultaneously. And since she's in air, it stands to reason that texting is more efficient than calling. But none of those records are quote unquote available. That to me, and I'm just talking about me, maybe you don't care, but that to me is insulting my intelligence. According to David Michelson, an attorney for the city, indicated that the mayor's phone, and I'm quoting, the mayor's phone is set to not save text messages. It auto deletes. And I know something about smartphones, just a little bit. Auto delete is a manual setting. It's a choice. It's not a factory setting. It doesn't come to you out of a box and you install a text messaging app and it just auto deletes stuff after 30 days. And beyond that, I also know that text messages have both a sender and a receiver. I know that just deleting a message from a device doesn't delete it from a server. So the messages themselves are not lost forever, but that's beside the point. It's the principle. And as an elected official, there is every reason to believe that a mayor's text messages during an emergency have relevance and importance beyond 30 days. It's a crisis situation. There is every reason to believe that the mayor knows this as well as I do, as well as you do. I don't question whether her phone was set to auto delete. I don't question that at all. I absolutely question any such motivation, and so would any reasonable person. So let me end where I began. Mayor Bass is probably going to be reelected, borderline definitely. And that is in part because she likely won't face any serious challengers. And I've told you about that and how that just really sticks in my craw. No one is actually going to step up. And that is why setting auto delete for your text messages during a crisis in which there have been numerous investigations and allegations of incompetence will not matter one single bit. And I get it. I really do. When there are no consequences, you can auto delete your messages, even during a crisis. How do I know? Ask the Secret Service during the January 6th insurrection. We never found those text messages either. I try to be consistent. And I really hate when politicians act like we're stupid. I know for a fact I'm not. I can't speak for anyone else, but I know I'm not. I just would rather they, as in politicians, they as in elected officials, just own up to it and say, yeah, I deleted the damn messages. They were probably important, and I know you can't do anything about it. I'm still going to be reelected, so deal with it. Close quote. That would be easier to swallow. But politicians and elected officials do these things and will continue to do them as long as they know they won't be voted out. You can't necessarily control what politicians do. You can control whether they get to hang around and continue to do them. For KFI AM 640, I'm Mo Kelly.
Critical thinkers wanted.
KFI.
And KOST HD2.
Los Angeles, Orange County.
Live everywhere on the iHeartRadio.